Well, this looks interesting. Okay, it's just the Yellow Jacket Garage's door opening for my GR86 to enter and have new brake pads put on. Brian's cat does approve. Thanks to Brian and his labor, tools, and time for this little project. I bought Hawk HPS Street Performance brake pads, and now it's time to install them. Yay! Oh, I will review all procedures. Welcome to Road Odyssey. Today is brake pad day. Please like and subscribe. I have my Facebook page. Join me there anytime you wish. Time for a brake pad change on the 2022 GR86, of which all of this will be very similar to many other cars. Specifically, I got Hawk's pads, fronts in one box, rears in another box, 2 sets of pads in each box with brake grease if you need it. I bought these not long after I bought the car. They were about $190 total. Tax, shipping, whatever. You might be able to find them cheaper. Notice, when hunting for these pads, get the right kind. In this picture, you'll see that there is a mix of information. The actual picture does not match the pads needed for the 2022 GR86. Be sure to check fitment and the actual appearance of the pads to be perfectly sure that they are right. Yes, for the GR86, you can get the HB671F.268 front pads. With all of the pads available, for good street performance, I chose the HPS Street, which are a premium street performance pad. Here is a look at the pads. Be sure to buy and replace both front, both rear, or all 4. Never do an odd number of pads. Note, if your 86 has really high miles and you suspect the pads are very dead, you may consider looking at getting a set of pad clips too. These are actually pad support plates. Brian got the GR86 on his rack. He lifted the car up to remove the wheels and begin the swap of pads. So nice. Quick look at the wheel, rotor, and caliper. With the wheel off, I wanted to tell you about all the tools and materials you will need. Lighting, perhaps, socket set, are fairly obvious, socket wrench and torque wrench for both the lug nuts and caliper bolts, lug socket, 14 millimeter caliper bolt socket. I'm showing you the caliper bolts around the back. Maybe an interior plastic tool or something like it for the pistons, a C-clamp plier, or again something similar for the pistons, a bungee cord or similar for the caliper, disposable gloves if you do any cleaning, brake cleaner for cleaning, an oil pan for cleaning, and lint-free towels for cleaning. Then brake caliper grease, either store-bought or use the packets from the boxes. This is the procedure for installation with some details relative to installation and the break-in procedure. I will review this again in just a bit, so let's just get started. First, you will remove the top and bottom bolts of the caliper's piston bracket or the cylinder subassembly using a 14 millimeter socket. You might see them in this diagram as well. Carefully pry back the piston or pistons away from the rotor. Once removed, compress the pistons all the way down with something like the C-clamp pliers. Again, be very, very careful. Hang that caliper so its weight is not on the brake line. Remove the old pads. They just kind of slip and slide out. Inspect the pad support plates or clips. Clean them and possibly the rotor of debris. apply a very small amount of grease to the pad support plates. Make sure no grease, oils, whatever get on the pads. Install the new pads with the long clip pointing up. Replace the piston bracket or cylinder subassembly. The two bolts are torqued to 20 foot-pounds. Inspect and look for errors when you're done. Now, let's go over this procedure on paper step by step. Here we go. Number 1, engine off. Well, yeah, do not set the park brake. Do not hit the brakes once the car is off. Step 2, with the wheels off, you'll loosen and remove the caliper bolts around back, one on top, one on bottom. These are connecting the brake cylinder subassembly or the piston bracket. Step 3, with great caution, slightly depress the piston or pistons with a non-sharp, very dull tool like the plastic interior tool or by any other similar means, just enough to wiggle the assembly loose. 4, hang the cylinder subassembly. Never allow it to dangle with its weight on the brake line. 5, pop out the pads from both sides. 6, clean the pad support plates or clips and the caliper carrier. You may also choose to clean the rotor, but if you do, it must be completely dry and free from oils and or other chemicals. Step 7, looking at the carrier where the pads sit. You have the thin metal, top and bottom pad support plates on both sides of the caliper. Replace these if need be. Apply a small amount of caliper grease to them. Warning, be careful not to get grease anywhere else, especially no grease on the face of the pads. 8, install the pads. The curve faces towards the center of the hub. The long clip is pointing up for these cars. 9, replace the piston bracket or cylinder subassembly. Torque the two bolts to 20 foot-pounds. 10, inspect your work. Now for some quick install details. Number 1, check the brake fluid reservoir when you're especially retracting the pistons, but just keep an eye on that. 2, check the rotors and pads for uneven wear, scoring, or grooves. Now, if the rotors are grooved or have any other bad surface areas on them, they may need to be resurfaced or just completely replaced if they're awful. Number 3, remove previous brake pads contaminants. Now, you don't have to do this, but it's good to at least wipe everything down. But you can use 130 or smaller grit sandpaper with moderate pressure. You can use soap water to clean. Brian had used some brake cleaner, but after drying it all off with a lint-free towel, he just let everything dry for a while. We had time. The discs must be free and clear of oil, grease, and brake fluid. Now, it's time to break in the pads or do the burnishing process. So, looking back at the procedure, first off, note, do not drag the brakes, coasting on the brakes for a long time, for example. So, first, you're going to do 6 to 10 brake engagements without stopping from 30 to 35 miles per hour. Then number 2, you're going to do 2 to 3 brake engagements without stopping with hard pedal pressure from 40 to 45 miles per hour. Finally, number 3, let the brakes cool for 15 minutes, and then you're done. Well, that's it. Hope this video was helpful. Thanks a ton to Brian at Yellow Jacket Garage. Super thankful for his help and patience. With that, please relax, take it easy, and I will see you later. Bye. Hey, one last tidbit. You might expect in the future that I will get a new exhaust for this car. I am tired of looking at these little black round circles that are hidden behind the rear bumper. Bye.